I'm running out of space. Oh, look at that. Oh, y'all. I am so fresh. I mean, it's been about 30 minutes, but I'm so like this is getting on my nerves. But I'm so fresh out of bed that I still had the lines in my face, and I'm in there trying to rub it like this. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Yeah, I made myself some coffee yesterday, and I put it in the fridge to make it iced coffee. There's nothing like iced coffee because like you don't have to use so much sugar. You just pour the creamer in, and it like it's funny. Creamer is not as sweet and yummy tasting when it's hot, but like it does more when it's cold. I don't know why it just does. So I have my yummy iced coffee. Yay! I thought about sitting outside, and for whatever reason, we decided today in the state that I live it's going to be ice cold. It'll get warmer later, but we woke up till like too nipply. So I got my sweatshirt on, my fleecy little pajama bottoms. Some like see, some of my peeps are in different countries, and so hey, Cappy, they this is like evening and stuff like that for them, but in the U.S. it's Uber morning. Well, now I want you to remember that most of my coffee ones were super early. It's usually between 8 and 8:30. So it just is. I threw my hair in a ponytail. It looks kind of funky. So today I'm just, whatever's. Yay. That's why I said I was going to drink outside for a little bit. But yeah, like it was way too freaking cold. It was like, when I say nipply, I mean, I was like, never mind. Especially since I wanted to have iced coffee. I'd be freezing outside right about now. It'll get warm today. It's just what it is in this, like, yesterday morning, we woke up to 55-degree weather, which was amazing. And today, I think it's like 40 out there. I'm like, so anywho's, I don't know. We can't make up our mind here. So, anywho's, so I got Pooh Bear, my lustrous sippy cup. Before I was getting on, I kept feeling the energy of like too many thoughts passing through someone's head. Kind of reminded me of ADHD. And like the thoughts were so fleeting and quick, like someone couldn't grasp a hold of them. It didn't feel like the energy of being exceptionally like over concentrated. Hey Noelle. Over concentrated on something. You know how like when we get anxious and we like overthink something and we have a tension headache and that kind of stuff. It felt like somebody was just watching their brain go kind of thing. And then it was like, what's what? Like somebody was just trying to figure out. I don't know if there's an influx of downloads or an influx of information, and someone's trying to figure out that it's kind of what it feels like. Like a lot of things are coming in, and it's not necessarily anxiety and stuff like that. It's something coming in, but when you get all kinds of bits of information and you're trying to put the puzzle together, or you're like, okay, like what matters right now though? Like what should I pay attention to? And then it was almost like spirit was saying slow down, and that's where the breathe in, breathe out came from. So somebody may be in a very clear state, and when you haven't been there for a while, it's like getting back on a bike. You're wobbly at first. You're not exactly perfect when you're riding it. You might tip over a couple of times, and you might scrape your foot against the pedal of the bike. Like you'd be doing some dumb stuff, right? And you're just like, okay, like it's like getting back on the seat almost after having been off for a bit. And so you're recognizing a lot's coming in, and it's this idea of, okay, let me organize what I'm receiving from you, Spirit, or let me organize what I'm picking up on. Let me trying to figure this one out. And it's just like, maybe somebody hasn't realized, I just heard in the right order. Like maybe somebody hasn't realized in what order they should pay attention to or listen to those things, or like what's of most importance. Because there's a lot of times in what I do that I get stuff and I'm like, I don't know what that means. And I have learned to cultivate the attitude of, okay. Like, I don't even try to question it anymore. I don't get all hyphy because I don't get it. Like, why are you telling me this now? Like, I understand some shit ain't for right now. Some shit is just FYI. Like, especially when things, oh, that's what it is. There's been a backlog. So, like, with whatever was being veiled or whatever level of confusion, like you weren't really open clearly to have things come in. And I talked yesterday about even well-intentioned people, when they speak over you, creating a situation where messages, energies, things like that you're meant to receive don't come through, because to your consent, you allow people to kind of like what you think because they have your best interest at hand. But you got to remember, their lens is different than yours. Their truth is going to be different than yours. And so whatever they speak over you is going to be colored by their truth, not yours. And so just because they love you and they may be good, well-meaning people, doesn't mean that they should be speaking anything over you. And it can interfere with your path, your trajectory, right? And so it can add an area of confusion and clouding and things like that. And so needing to put that protection around you so that it filters those things, so that nothing that counteracts or challenges or stops, limits your goals, your desires, and you needing to be very specific about what that is. Like, you have to be specific with your protections at times, right? And so to me, it's like that's what they're saying is like, so now that things are able to come in, it's almost like a backlog. Does that make sense? Just like a dam, like once you finally let that dam loose, it's like whoosh. And like usually with a dam, when you let the waters go, there's also been like debris that has backed up along the, you know what I mean? So some of it very well may be useless at this point in time. And so a lot of it's just like, ooh, it's like an influx that's rushing waters. Like, which obviously water represents your intuition, your connection. So someone is experiencing a lot coming through and they're kind of going, I want to say it ranges from very pertinent to like minuscule details, which would require one to, it's like getting back on the bike and learning how to filter or decipher, right? What is important, what isn't. And as much as you have to put very specific details in regards to what your protection is, what you are and are not willing to allow through, what should and should not be filtered, what can be collected energetic wise that's from other people, to almost like your rain barrel of energy to amplify your wants and desires, because you can transmute that energy, especially if the energy is not malevolent or the source is not malevolent. It's a lot easier to transmute that energy because it behind it is well intentions. It's just well intentions from their frame of reference and their truth, right? And so it's easy to kind of like transmute that into energy you can use to amplify. So kind of like in that sense, because they're giving me like something like somebody asking, so what can I expect today? And like some of those minuscule details will come through. Oh, you'll get a message from such and such about such and such, and it's like nothing. Like it's a message, like somebody sends you a message and it's your mother and they tell you, oh, did you know that so and so went to Italy? And it's like that's not what I meant, spirit. Like, that's not even important. You over here trying to decipher it like you think it's some grand thing for you, and spirit's just like, you weren't specific about what you asked. And then you're trying to make it into some great, and it's like, Do you know what it's like to have open dialogue with spirit all the time now, with your own intuition? To hear it in everyday life as if it's your friend, as if it's, like a lost part or aspect of yourself that you haven't been in touch with for quite some time. So that's why it feels like getting back on the bike. It's because you've felt very isolated and not in touch for quite some time, and now there's this influx of open dialogue with your higher self, intuition, spirit, whatever you want to call it, and it's coming through for all kinds of things. And it's like, how do I utilize this best, so that it doesn't become overwhelming, become too much, because it can, you can start to have physiological symptoms with that. um, and it's like, how do I let this best serve me? And how do I get the sense that somebody's trying to decode something that's not really much of anything. And it's like you spin your wheels, because you're like, it can't just be this. Like you think it's bigger than what it is. And it's like, no, it's just, you've got so much now, so much dialogue, that some of the stuff is just little things that come through. And you'll notice, you'll get a sensation, or you'll get a message, and then something very tiny comes through, and then it's like, so if you don't, like, you got to not waste your energy on trying to over analyze some of the things that come through, because there's going to be heavier messages, more impactful messages that come through, that you're like, okay, now I need to find out how to apply this as I move forward. And it's like, oh, okay. So it just feels like they're like, breathe in, breathe out. Right? Because and when you ain't been riding a bike for a while, and you get back up on that bugger, and you figured it out, right? You're no longer falling over again. You've got it. You remember waking up the next day, and you're like, my thighs. Oh my God, my thighs. And they'd be hurting in places you're like, I wasn't using that. Why is it hurt there? Like, you know what I mean? So be careful, be more in the flow, allow those things to come, and try to see how they apply as they play out, so you can start learning to differentiate the different energies and downloads that come through, as to what is very pertinent and needs more of your attention, and what is just dialogue. You know what I mean? So I think that's something that's coming through for some people. And so, on that note, because we are getting back on the saddle, climbing back up on the bike, what would spirit want to tell us now that there is a unobstructed conversation going on? Okay. And I keep wanting to talk like it's a dialogue, like it's a back and forth. It's a cooperative situation here, okay? Which would tell me that then spirit's going to be answering things in real time, right? So you really need to know what you're asking, and be very specific about what you're asking. Like what do you really actually want to know, and where do you actually need to have that dialogue and process things in order to maneuver in your life, right? Because I don't need to know every little thing. Like, okay, I don't know why. Like, some shit will come through, and you're like, that shit. Why'd you tell me that? That's not even important. Well, not important, spirit. But it is a sign that you're in touch with that aspect, right? Like, so take it as confirmation that you're back in the saddle, okay? So we're obviously going to start off with the Hermetic Tarot. We have the Queen of Swords and the Ten of Wands. It's a reminder that the having clear sight, like the Queen of Swords, can, if you allow it to, it can become burdensome. Like, if you're acting as if everything is some kind of secret to be decoded. Oh, I still have my thingies in. Sorry. I was like, what is in my shirt? Hold on. But it also can be very liberating, right? When you finally are able to see everything. So it's like, it's more not about controlling what comes through from spirit, but what you allow to be like what you pay attention to, right? Like sometimes you can get too overwhelmed with the details of all kinds of little things. And it's like, be more like the Queen of Swords. Pull out from that, see the greater picture, and you'll garner what you really need to pay attention to that comes through. So you need to cultivate that attitude of, okay. And you just keep moving. Like it just rolls right off of you like it's water. Okay. Because the Ten of Wands is also about having this open dialogue, and having this clear channel is meant to help alleviate the stress, not create more for you. Okay. So don't try to make this into something that it's not. Harnessed and cultivated correctly and utilized correctly, it's added to your discernment, which makes maneuvering through life much easier, which allows you to see things more clearly. And so that's really what it's meant to do. Hope everybody has their coffee. Look at this. I don't know what it is when I put my hair up, but like I can separate my hair where it looks like I don't have a bald spot really. Like when it falls down and stuff, it's not bald, but I don't know why I can separate it easily because this one grows. And I'm always like, God, see, there's no bald spot over there. I don't know why my hair lays like that. It didn't look as bad in the bathroom mirror. And I was like, that's all right. It's all good. And now I'm like, this looks, I look like a little kid when I put it in just, that's why y'all always see me in a clip, because I feel like I look like a little kid with my chipmunk cheeks with a ponytail. Let's see where we're going. Oh, son of a biscuit eater. No, they said there's more. I said, go keep Joe. Keep. It feels like, and I know I've got another one right here to get, but already they're telling me it's like as something finally breaks ground, as something begins to take off, or as something begins to develop, that's the need to have the balance, the need to have the objective, calm discernment in regards to what comes through, because you're going to allow that to help dictate your actions. We've got the, they said to hold on. It's like finish. I'm like, Okay, thank you. So the overall energy is going to be the Seven of Pentacles, right? So this is when something finally pops out of the ground. Seeds were planted, things were nurtured. Now's the time for the season of growth, okay? And things are actually going to start developing. And it's no longer in the dark. It's something that's going to be, it's things that are going to be developing within your reality, that you'll see within your 3D existence. Okay. Over here on this side, we've got the Hierophant with the Temperance card. So the Hierophant is the action taking within our reality from the knowledge that we garner as the High Priestess, our inner knowing, our compass, our guidance, our connection with spirit, with the things that I want to say with the things that are unknown, but it's more like yet to be revealed. And so it's like getting the premonition or getting the getting it's like having the road map prior to driving somewhere you've never been. Obviously, once you start driving and you start going, the map may be a little bit different than what you encounter because of weather, because of construction, because of all kinds of different things, right? Because you come across something like, ooh, let's go that way. Like you may think you know the path you're going based upon whatever. Little titty bit things can be different, right, along the way. Um, because the map can't capture everything that happens in 100% real time. Things just change and develop along the way. It's more of an overall trajectory, right? um so the hierophant for me is, it's the masculine to the feminine inner knowing, right? It is taking the things that I know, taking the information, the spiritual information that I get, the downloads and everything, and then utilizing that to create my reality external to me, right? Using that in my maneuverability, in the action taking. And so the temperance is, it's like the balance of what you get in your download with the reality that you see right in front of you. I always tell you this, no matter what you receive intuitively, at no point does spirit expect you to abandon wisdom. They're expecting you to utilize that, like for it to be a part of how you maneuver, right? And so obviously if they're like, go straight, and then you start to go straight and there's a big ass fucking pothole and you're like, I'm gonna fall in and then my car's gonna be stuck. You're gonna take your happy ass around it, right? Like, do they need to tell you those little things? Is the energy of, do I need to wipe your ass too? Right? And so it's like, no, you put your big boy, big girl panties on. Um, when spirit gives you instruction, you have to use the eyes that you see in your reality to bring what they're telling you into fruition. They're not, it's like you don't ignore what's happening right here and there, right here and now, here and there. In order to, right? So things were going to be popping off. They want this balance, because the temperance card is usually, it's alchemizing, right? There's also this alchemy of that's happening in order to get things just right. And then on the other side of the Seven of Pentacles, in utilizing that, I think we're going to be talking a lot today about the Temperance card, about what does this alchemy look like? What exactly are you talking about? How do we filter and sift through the downloads and the messages that are coming through to know what is most pertinent in this time? And how do we keep maneuvering so that we accept, because you don't want to cut off. If you get annoyed with all the little things that come through and you decide to cut it off, again, it's like a portal, right? Like it's one great big portal. If you start to shut it off, you're shutting off the energy to all of it. And so you have to be careful of that. But you can start to identify, okay, I appreciate that. That's not necessary information. But I feel like Spirit's saying, let it be. We would rather you just go, oh, okay. And like, just be like, I don't know where that came through, but it's okay. It's not ignoring it. It's acknowledging it, but it's also like not, you're not adding it to your basket. Like you got to continue, you got to carry it on your shoulders or something like that. Does that make sense? Yeah, there's two pentacles. Because right here is the Ten of Pentacles and the Wheel of Fortune. It's like using these downloads to help you, and using these hits of intuition and things like that to help you maneuver where you can harness the energy, that's the change in the energy, to grow it into the Ten of Pentacles. Like whatever is happening, whatever's changing, whatever's coming into your reality has the potential to this. It's like I could have such good fortune in this lifetime, but it could also die with me, and therefore it wouldn't impact anybody beyond me, whether it's my family or others. Or I can use this good fortune, grow it, and allow it to feed and nurture others long after myself. Like people who win the lottery, they can use it, stay in a hole up in a mountain somewhere, and like just live their life until they die, or they could use that as leverage to help the greater good. Like, what is your legacy going to be? It's all about, I feel like Spirit's going to help you grow this and utilize the change in energy and trajectory to help so many and to create a new type of influence in your community and the lives of the people around you. And this is also like something living beyond you. So it's like the lasting impact that you have. Because the Ten of Pentacles is all about the longevity, the extent at which something grows to the point where it's like there's so many pentacles, there's no way they would ever like get through it all. It's for the generations to come. It's like your legacy. And so I feel like Spirit's like, it's the discernment is so important, because there's certain things where it's like having file folders in your brain, and downloads come through, and you might start thinking that's useless, that's useless, that's useless. And while there are tidbits that will come through to help you know you're still connected, it's like those are reminders on how free flowing. Like if those things stop coming through, I would use it as a gauge, right? To be like, you know, when you're about to do something and you're like, oh, that's probably going to be blah, blah, blah. And then it happens and you're like, what the fuck? And it's nothing important. It's nothing that means anything to anybody, but you just knew intuitively something was about to happen. Or like I've had this thing where I'll get pulled to go somewhere on a hike. And when I get there, it's like a little surprise for me, right? I love collecting. I love special, unique types of feathers and things like that. Like I love like things that you don't see every day, like, you know, gray feathers, white feathers, like those kind of things I see all the time. But there's always like the ones that I really love, and I'm like, oh, and I'll just feel drawn to go somewhere. And it's like, does this matter? Does it really fucking matter? No. But you know what it is? It's always a reminder of how connected I am to Spirit, and of that the channel is free flowing, it's unobstructed, and things are going really, really well. You know what I mean? Like that communication is still open, right? There's, oh gosh, I wish I could show you some. Like I love some of these. Like my son, we were walking and we found this one. I fucking love it. Look at the way that it just like I find the coolest shit. And it's all because like I'll be like, I don't know why. Like part of me wants to just go sit over here and chill. And I'm like, I really want to go over there. Same thing happened yesterday. I went for maybe 45 minutes. I just needed to decompress, right? Like get rid of some of the energy. And I go with my oldest son to the creek, and we just sit there, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go explore because I feel like I'm supposed to go down there. I go down and I see this bird that I've never seen before, and it's singing, and I'm like, is this a cardinal? And I'm like, it's bright, bright, bright red. I walk over there, right? Because I'm like, if this is an ancestor, come closer to me. And it wouldn't come closer, but it was incessant. You could see it would turn and like it would look right at me. You know what I mean? And it had this very like demanding song. So it wasn't afraid of me, but it wasn't exactly. So I walked closer and I realized it's not a cardinal. It is a summer tanager. I've never seen a bird. Usually if there's red on a bird, it's like little bits mixed with something else. It's not the super bright. I'm used to any of the super bright red birds being a northern cardinal down here. And so the summer tanager, and I was like, oh my God, It let me get so fucking close, you all. I was probably within 3 feet of it. And it was just talking to me. It was just talking. It was just, it was not afraid of me. And I was like, oh my God. So I go back to my chair and I sit down and I pull out my phone. Because I'm like, there's a message here, right? So I look it up and it's like, it's definitely a very major bird in spiritual meaning. And it has a lot of like, and I was like, oh shit. And I always try to take like the first meaning, like my phone, when I look things up, the source that comes up first for things, especially when I look up like spiritual meanings or the meaning of this, or, like it's always something different. So I go to the first one because it's usually something that's it's a message for me. And it wasn't any of the normal messages. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Now, here's the thing. I could have like, sometimes those little things that we want to file in, it's nonsensical. It doesn't really matter. Like I just thought I was going to find a feather when I kept feeling, I was like, oh, I gotta, like, it's like a little gift. Like, it's a little reminder to constantly remind you that you're still connected, that the channel's clear. And that's important to us. We need to know when that shit's obstructed because we can get distracted by life. And so don't necessarily, but there's going to be some things that will have the outer appearance at first, like that's nonsensical. I don't get it. I'll just file it in it's nothing. And really it should be in the file of this will matter later. Pay attention, right? And so I go back to the chair and I look it up and it has a bigger message for me. I'm like, oh, that's not nonsensical. That wasn't just a reminder that my channel is still clear. That actually, there was something in it for me. And it was really like a projection. It was like a prediction. Like this is about to happen kind of a situation. And I'm like, okay. Right? And so it is for, and then you'll have things that are very in the moment. When you're dealing with, just like this other thing. Y'all, when I tell you I had an experience where I listened to like a 10 minutes reading from somebody, and there were several things that came through, and I was like, that sounds like so-and-so in my life. And they're like, oh, you'll know when they're trying to do something, their car will break down. And when they're on their way to you, Spirit's going to stop them. And I was like, oh. And so I am in my head thinking it's going to be this one person. Because in this reading, multiple people are mentioned all the way to the, how do I put this? All the way to the zodiac signs. You want to know whose car broke down? The person I would not have fucking thought. And that's when Spirit was like, you need to be careful. Even the people who care about you are working against you, even if it's inadvertently. The same day, guys, the same fucking day. Like you know those times when like you catch a reading, and we have all those readings. We're like, damn, that sounds so far-fetched, so whatever, right? And they're not for us, so that's why it doesn't hit home. But this one was like, it's been a long time since I had a reading hit home with me. And I was like, damn, that's really eerily accurate. What the fuck? And it was my own intuition and my own download that this is going to happen today. So I'm literally driving to go somewhere. And I'm thinking, I'll know it's them if they're late. I shit you fucking not. 5 minutes till I'm supposed to arrive where I'm supposed to arrive, I get a text message. Hey, my car wouldn't start. Blah, 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 blah. Not from the person I was anticipating. I was like, oh. So when you say be careful who you trust, it's like I was giving this, like, and here's the thing. Don't hate the person. I just get it. Their views can be different than my own. That's why I was compelled to share it with you all. It was a lesson. It was like you've been allowing someone to speak over you, and you've had undying trust of this person because they sincerely wouldn't ever do anything intentionally or consciously to hurt you. But because their beliefs are different, they have been putting things over you and speaking things over you that are obstructing things. And it's like, I was like, oh my God. And I could see why. It's like my father would do that shit. My father was a minister. You think he'd be like, oh, this is great stuff? No, he would be praying in his back room, like to not allow spirits to come through to me and to deter me from this path and to get me back on the straight. Like he would be, no prayers or incantations, motherfuckers. Okay. And so it's like, but if you are allowing, like, I didn't actively, like, I always look at certain people as they're an ally and they don't have any malevolent energy towards me. They genuinely want my best interest, but guess what? That doesn't mean just because someone isn't malevolent in nature doesn't mean that they won't work against you. And I was like, well, shit. And so this discernment, this alchemy of knowing, of experiencing all these downloads coming through, and like, so like you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much, what's what, right? And it's almost like allow it to play out, because through things playing out, you'll start going, okay, so these are like this. And this one, even though in this moment it doesn't make sense, it's probably for later. So I'm gonna put it in this file folder. And this one, oh, it feels like this. So that's more imminent. That's gonna tell me like that's soon. That's something I need to be paying attention to. That's, and so it helps guide you. It helps guide your actions, right? So that's what this is all talking about. There's something there's going to be sometimes they sound like soap operas, I swear. There's a change in the wind. There's a change in the fucking wind, Wheel of Fortune. And this change in your fortune, leveraged correctly, will have a lasting impact on more than just yourself. Like, this is the kind of thing where you can set up your life in such a manner that you could help guide and redirect your children. Because we all know that when we're doing well, we are in a more powerful place, influential place, capable place to help guide our children, to help set things up differently. We all know that if things were different for our parents, it would have been different for us. And so it's like, even if you like, this can get as big as having a massive influence through like social media. It could be through your community, and it could just be like your ability to set up the generations after you to step into their purpose, so that they don't have to spend half their fucking lifetime weeding through the bullshit and karma to get to the place of being able to. And now, some people have these about saying purpose. Then this message isn't for you. I'll just say that much. Because there are certain people, purpose to me is your truest expression of yourself in this human form. And that goes beyond love. Like, a lot of people want to say, oh, that's just being love. And it's like, no, that's who we are. That's not our expression. How is that expressed? We all are, at our core, the frequency of love, the energy of love, which encompasses all, light and dark. So, but what is our truest expression in this lifetime of who we are? And that always looks different for everybody. So I call that purpose. All right. You can call it whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a shit. So let's talk about this temperance and what that means and what they're wanting to kind of give you in regards to this. Give me a hot minute. Like, see, when I turn a certain way, my hair be looking, I don't know. I gotta start taking a shower, guys. I really love coming on here just first thing in the morning, but for fuck's sake. Good morning. Oh, hey. How are you? Okay. As a thought tarot, we're going to focus a little bit on the Temperance card, and then I already know that they're going to bring me over to Madame Endora's, but Madame Endora's is not for the Temperance card. So remember, the Temperance is, it's down here, it says daughter of reconcilers. So it's like reconciling differences. It is finding that happy medium. It is the alchemy. It is the balance and the discernment. Okay. So, what do you want to say about that? They just said don't take any of the downloads for granted. It may feel overwhelming right now because you're like, okay, I got to get back used to deciphering between these things, right? What is just, a reminder that the channel's clear? What is something that needs to be banked for later? And so I've got to save this. It'll make sense at a later point. There'll be a couple things. And what is meant for in the moment right now? And it's like, just give it some time. Breathe in, breathe out. Ace of Swords. They just said divine truth, because there's truth based upon everybody's lens at which they're looking at something, and then there's the divine truth of something. Which would remind me of the Queen of Swords that they gave us at the split in the beginning, where she's able to decipher because she can see the greater picture, right? Where it's not clouded. It's more objective. It's not clouded by agendas, lenses, things like that. And so it's almost as if getting back into the saddle and allowing this to happen, breathing so it doesn't overwhelm you, but not stopping it, because at some point, some people may be like, and it becomes too much, and they'll start to pump the brakes, and they're like, just go with the flow and allow. I feel like the getting back into that rhythm of filtering what's what when things come through, the intuitive hits, the downloads, the different things like that, that will happen quicker than you think. So the Ace of Swords really is the sword wielded by the Queen of Swords, in all honesty. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles with the Eight of Pentacles. And it is this sword of truth, this sword of the Queen of Swords helps you to determine what are like the golden nuggets. I take the Knight of Pentacles like the golden nugget, like the piece of information that you must focus on. The important nugget that's meant to help you hone in. Weird that they're putting like a golden nugget. You have to leave yourself open for that. So it's better to become there's a sense with the Temperance card also that they're saying that sometimes, okay, we've all met the people who will feel like they've caught something from spirit, like a message, and they get very egoic about it, like, oh, this, and so they're suddenly like the valor that it's a crusade, and it's like not everything that comes through spirit. This is not like your ego will try to take over and inflate shit, and it's like so that's what somebody's going through. They're kind of like, oh my gosh, like what is this and what does it mean, and do I have a special mission? Do I got it? And it's like, fuck, Jesus Christ, no. Like, get into the energy of having like that balance when these things come through. You can't be that easily riled when a download comes in. Like if something comes in and it's one of those, it'll happen later, and you get so super irritated because you're constantly looking for it. And when is it coming in? And it hasn't happened. And then suddenly you're fighting spirit, and you're not believing any of the downloads. And no. And it's like, Jesus Christ, get a fucking grip. Like what, like your relationship with this ability needs to be transmuted potentially. Do not allow ego to come in and inflate shit more than what it is. Do not allow ego to make comments and discuss like be the determining factor. Like, don't let ego go, this is important, this is not, and this is and remember the last time that this download came through, I don't know why they're bringing it, because there are certain things that will come through for us that it ain't happening anytime soon, or it's like just a FYI. It's like background noise, background story to something, and it's like, it's not meant for us to try and turn it into some kind of soap opera. It's not like, it's like, it is that sense of making something that it's not. And so if you continue to let spirit do that with some of the nonsensical things, what is your ego going to do when something exceptionally important comes through? Like the thing you should act on. Will it dismiss it? Will it say, that's not even true because these other things, like they just be telling us shit sometimes, and it's like, how can we even trust ourselves? Like, I feel like ego will try to step in and turn you in on yourself and your abilities. Ego's got no fucking place in acting as a filter for anything that comes in through spirit. Ego is a filter for the 3D. We said it in the beginning. By all means, pay attention to what the fuck's in front of you. Your downloads are here to help you. And obviously, spirit's like, we expect you. It's almost like, keep your fucking ego in check and in place. It's got no right. It's got no fucking right trying to act as a filter for spirit. Fuck that shit. Ego, pay attention to what's happening right here. Okay? That you're a filter, you're a human filter, but bitch, it will try. And that's where this alchemy is coming in. It is be in the state of allowance, because I feel like ego cannot be the filter for these things. And as soon as you start shutting down to any of the information that comes through, you're going to start shutting down to everything. Your ego will then be in charge of what messages get to come through, which ones get your attention, and it's like, that's not how it should be. That is what fucked you up before and got you off the bike, because ego convinced you can't trust this bitch. Put the bike down, you're gonna fall again. It's like, that's why, you know what I mean? Like, ego convinced you could trust X, Y, and Z because it's not malevolent. Like, ego likes to come in and say some shit. But if I get a download to do something within my, like, to go follow that, like, I like yesterday with the bird, I felt like I needed to go explore in this direction really quick, right? I was gone maybe 15 minutes. And I see something where I'm like, oh, like a bear paw imprint in the mud. At that point, ego, you can go, oh, bitch, I've got like books on why this is not safe. You know what I mean? By all means, inform me, ego. Ego is not saying to not go explore. Ego is saying you do not want to go in this direction. This may not be where you should go because it is counter to your safety if you care to continue to exist on this earth. At which point I'll step back in. I'm like, okay, where am I? Since that's obviously not the direction, because spirit wouldn't pull me into a trap like that. Where, and I listen, I go back in. I'm like, okay, where is this? Where am I supposed to go? And I start paying attention. I'll get pulled in directions. And I'll go there. Or maybe I was just meant to see the bear print and not go any further. Now, there's a time and place to pay attention to your fucking ego also, right? If I go, no, ego. Spirit said to come over here. This is where discernment comes in. So I got to keep going. Just like, that's where it's like, Spirit's like, do I have to wipe your ass too? I'm not telling you to forgo wisdom because I tell you something. They're supposed to work in tandem, not against one another. There we go. Hit it. Finally got there. Oh my God. Took a little bit, didn't it? So those two things are meant to work in tandem, not against one another. Okay? So this time frame that you're going through where the clarity is here and things are coming through, your discernment and the alchemy that you are creating here in this situation is like figuring out how to decipher between the messages that you are receiving intuitively, and how that translates, right? Hierophant into the reality, because we're talking about, see, the temperance. Hierophant is taking those messages and then taking action within our reality, masculine energy, based upon that information. But it is tempered by our own wisdom. This is when the ego is beneficial, right? Because the ego's only point of reference is from that which has already happened and occurred. So at times, it's correct when it says, oh, you about to fucking die. Right? And maybe spirit just wanted you to go to this degree, this far. I could have taken it like when that red bird, and I was like, and I'm like, because it's happened. Like when I tell you I have asked for a bird to come closer, bitch, they will come and they will land right there. And I'm like, oh, you know what I'm saying? So when I do that, I know it's possible. And I just listen. Ego could have told me, oh, see, ain't nothing here. Keep going. And I was like, no, there's still something here though. Right? Ego could have interfered that way. So it goes both ways, guys, is what I'm trying to say. So it's like ego can interfere with the messages from spirit, and that's not meant to happen. But you're also not meant to put down your ego, because your ego is what keeps your fucking ass safe. Ego is the filter that interprets the world in which you're maneuvering in and utilizes all of its knowledge up to this point to make decisions. It's also the reason you want to make sure your ego is in check and you are in balance so that it doesn't fearmonger, okay? It's funny because, one, again, I think that what's happening is things are going to be moving at a very fast pace. If you're in this state of allowance, it's like your spiritual capacity for yourself is going to grow immensely. Your intuition will be amplified. It's more of a don't pump the brakes, just breathe in, breathe out, and stay in this state of allowance. You will start to sift accordingly, and it will no longer be overwhelming because something is meant to come through. And if you try to pump the brakes, you might miss it. You may not get it. You'll pick up on it. I want to say you will, because this truth will come through. You're going to see something and you're like, that. It's got to be something because of the hierophant here that you're meant to act on. And even if it's something you're like, I don't exactly know how to act on, don't worry, because that's the whole point. Keep allowing the information, the intuition, the downloads to inflow, okay? It is going to help teach you how to utilize. You'll be receiving messages and truth and information, divinely guided information on a golden nugget that shows up in your reality that you then will focus on. That's also the alchemy. Man, this temperance card got a lot of fucking messages, because temperance is like that old story in Christian Bible where Jesus turns water to wine. He alchemizes it. He transmutes it. He alchemizes it. Same as like turning gold into, like liquid gold into, or liquid metal into something, a different state. It is ice melting into water. Is that alchemization. They're saying you're going to be receiving appropriate guidance, like that you are meant to. It's like divinely guided actions and information that you are then meant to turn into from the Eight of Pentacles, because you will take action, you will work on it. Eight of Pentacles is that very specific skill. It is focus on this very specific thing. That's why they calling it a golden nugget. And that's how you turn it into this. So it's like something comes in and spirit helps you make it more than what it is. Spirit will help guide you to turning the tides of your life, the energy. So you're going to be focusing. Here we have the Seven of Pentacles. Something new that's breaking ground, that's in your reality now, that will come into reality now. It's been in the dark. It's going to break ground. You're going to see it. Spirit's going to tell you how to work on it. That Seven of Pentacles is the golden nugget, and you're going to focus on that. And you're going to take focused, directed action based upon the communication you receive from Spirit. And Spirit's going to help you change that into longevity and something pretty massive. But over here, to describe the process in this alchemization and turning this thing into gold is going to be exceptionally joyful and you're going to enjoy the whole process, and it's going to happen fast. Because it is spirit-led. Eight of Wands is always spirit-led. They say no. So let's get this, and I know I should probably be getting off soon. How's everybody? So I go into the entire story and I tell you how they show me in here the card of finding out that even well-intentioned people may be working against you. And it was like, it brought a whole new meaning to the card of beware who you trust. And look who the fuck shows up. Beware who you trust. And then you are destined to succeed. I think it is placing more weight and focus on the intuitive guidance that you're getting versus other people. Because like with that other scenario that I gave you, well-intentioned people really may want the best for you. And so what they project onto you may be their own fears for you, but not reality and not the truth. And in giving more weight to that, or listening to that, or allowing that to be spoken over you, or allowing your ego to go, yeah, that's right, that could happen. There's a sense of it's not necessarily the truth, and it can infiltrate what you're trying to achieve and where spirit wants to lead you. So when they say beware who you trust, it isn't always about these individuals who would do very outward horrible things to try and stop you, or black magic, or it's like, be aware that everybody has their own perspective, and that really everything is a projection, even if it's good and beneficial. Everybody is projecting from their own lens. Anything they put out into the world is a projection of themselves, good or bad. And so you may have to take that with a grain of salt. So if somebody tries to put a seed of doubt in your mind, beware who you trust, because they're like, you are destined to succeed. That's like somebody trying to put a grain of doubt inside in you. I also feel like that's you also, like old fears coming up of looking foolish in front of people. And it's like, do you really want to gauge how you take action in this world based upon that? Some of these very well-meaning people may be removed. They're not horrible people, but they might still be removed from your path because they act as an obstruction. And despite what they say, they are not. They are either just not or not capable of supporting you in the way that you need. You may find that people that you have to either like people that you I don't even think it's people you're holding on to, but there may be people in your sphere that will be removed. And you're like, why? Like, what are they? And you've got to trust. There's a reason, because we've got fate has blocked this path for you, next to strength and wisdom, which we just talked about. You like utilizing wisdom and knowing, trusting. You're taking the divinely guided actions versus what others try to place upon you. And give us a little clarity on the fate has blocked this path for you. New era elements. I just heard distraction. Some people are just a distraction. Or what they say or try to impose upon you acts as a distraction. That's stuck in my hand. I want this path for you. Pages want this path. This could also be another option being removed from the table. If you're trying to juggle things and one, like something just doesn't always seem to go wrong, or it just doesn't pop off, or it just doesn't go anywhere, you're like, gosh, why? Because fate has, because anything that doesn't stick around or stay around only works as a hindrance. Because literally when I'm asking it, it has the 9 of Cups, 4 of Wands, and the Ace of Wands. Spirit is doing its best to keep things that will prevent you from this, because this needs to be the focus. It's a lot of messages that are just like in the, I was trying to connect how the messages that are coming through, trying to connect it all together to the original cards. And I'm trying to make it all make sense, which is exactly the fuck what I said when I first got on. That was the energy. Some messages that you have coming through don't have anything to do with the other message. Don't try to Cinderella this shit to make it fit. Not everything is for right now. This is what I'm literally living in your energy right now. Oh my God. Because I'm going like, how does the fate blocked have anything to do with the Hierophant and the Temperance? And I'm like, this feels like I'm getting multiple messages, and I am. Because this is what's happening to you. And it's like Spirit's making an example of me. Thanks. So, Spirit's trying to keep you on this path. We literally, the Ace of Wands is like, that is your passion, your purpose, the thing that fuels you, that you desire to go after, that is a wish fulfillment for you. That is like, in this card, the 4 of Wands is called perfection. It's like, it's the perfect path for you. It's the perfect project. It's the perfect avenue, the perfect career, the perfect, it's perfect, not because it in itself is perfect, but it's perfect for you. It is in alignment. It is something to celebrate. It is Spirit's trying to help your wish come true. So then what do you want to say about strength and wisdom? Like, I was really trying hard, guys. I was like, let me make, and they're like, that's what we're talking about right there. That's what we're talking about. Just let the messages come through. I'll be over here like, this could also be, up to this point, a lot of stuff has not worked out, and there was a reason for it. Strength and wisdom really feels like they're just talking about the strength to follow your inner knowing. We got the High Priestess card with the Six of Cups again, which is like a return to joy, a return to something, right? Six of Cups can always talk about like a return to something from the past. You're returning to this state of knowing. You're returning to a state of following and relying upon your intuition and your connection with spirit and the divine guidance that you get. And so that took a lot. It takes strength to do that. But that's like divinely guided wisdom, where you were in a place of like waiting, feeling like you were in limbo. We've got exploration, which is the Three of Wands, which is kind of like I've taken action. This was that space where nothing was happening. You're waiting for something to occur. And it felt a little torturous. We got cruelty, which is the Nine of Swords. You were constantly in your head. But through this, you're getting something to focus on. We have the Eight of Pentacles again. Like it's going to alleviate any tensions from the past. There is a return to joy. It's like the floodgates are open again. It felt torturous to not be connected to your intuition, to not have that clarity, to feel disconnected from that aspect of yourself, your higher self, source, universe, whatever you want to call it. It, like, you feel at your worst when that is not in place. And it's almost as if, like, with this whole fate has blocked these paths for you, you were in a sense of like extreme confusion, because without that connection, you were, it was like the blind trying to find your way in a maze where it's all dark, pitch black. And you're just like, and the amount of anxiety, it took a lot of strength to get out of that. And Spirit's like, I hope you know those paths were blocked so you can get what you truly enjoy, what you truly wanted, what you truly desire. Is to keep you on the path that lights you up the most. Anything about the beware who you trust? Anything else you want to say about that? Beware who you trust. Temperance comes back out again. That discernment. I think the last little lesson was you must have gone through a phase where you encountered very dark energies, people overtly working against you, sabotaging you. And then it was like, well, that's gone. So why is this still? And it was like, because some of the people, just because they're not malevolent doesn't mean that they're not working against you. And it doesn't mean that they are terrible, horrible people. It means they are not aligned with you in the way that just because somebody's not malevolent doesn't mean that they're good for you either. Right? It's like when we're in relationships and it's like the person is obviously not meant to be with the other person, but they're such a good person, they're not bad. And it's like, that doesn't mean they're for you though. Like, seriously. Like, you gotta, like, those people who have to wait for something horrible to happen to call something off. When really the level of empowerment and freedom that you get from honoring the self and just saying, this is not for me, and not having to wait for shit to blow up and to have a reason to hate a person in order to leave. No. Right? It's kind of like that. It is the same with other people that will come and go in your life. And sometimes we get this guilt trip, like we've done something wrong. Like, oh, but they never even they didn't really do anything wrong. Well, maybe not overtly, but their energy acts as a hindrance. Be okay with letting that go. And sometimes they're showing me somebody who's afraid to let go of decent people because no, I need good people in my life. I need that support. The more good people are in my life, the better the energies around me. And it's like, just because something appears a certain way on the external does not mean that their energy in your energetic field is good for you. We always like to say, like, you are the people who you hang around or who you have around, because the energy that surrounds you impacts you. But you're using your visual. And by all means, this at times can tell you exactly when somebody's fucked up. Like, I don't think you're good for me because I just saw what you did. You know what I mean? But other times we think just because someone's not engaging in apparent, overt negative behavior doesn't mean that they are energy to keep around us. Their energy can still keep us stagnant and held down and blocked. So this is one of those big girl panties, big boy pants kind of situation where you have to be willing and know that you're not chastising or deeming, and spirit's not deeming somebody not appropriate or evil or wrong. Like this doesn't have to be a situation of wrong. They're just not meant to be in your path. And so there's a whole new level of lesson that you've just learned or you're about to learn, and you're meant to trust you're meant to trust the messages you get, because I feel like Spirit's going to give you one of those, like I had, where you're like, oh. And it may be a little sad that you let them go. And it's sad because you feel like, oh, I should have a real solid reason. Your divine knowing and truth is enough fucking reason. You owe nobody explanation. And by all means, no one's asking you to be an asshole to somebody. It is let them go. They're not meant to be on your path. There's just this middle ground, this discernment. Again, when we talked about temperance, it is the alchemy between the divine wisdom, the intuition that you receive, and your ego, which is the filter for this reality. Your ego will say, but they haven't done anything horrific. But you need to trust the divine guidance you're getting within, the intuitive nudge to let certain things just go. To take actions in opposite directions of other people, because guess what? They are only going to hold you back. Be careful of who you feel obliged or allegiance to. That allegiance in and of itself may stop you from taking the guided action you're meant to take. It could be like not moving across country because you know what? My mom doesn't have a lot of people here, and she's so good, and she's always been so supportive, and I know that she loves me. That's a fucking hindrance. That allegiance to to allowing her, even though she didn't ask you to, or she might, dictate your actions versus the divine guidance that you're receiving that you know internally you should be taking. Don't wait for something to have to get horrible. Why? So you stick around and then you end up having a really shitty, horrible relationship with her because inadvertently you're unhappy. Not inadvertently. You are unhappy because of your own choices, and then you inadvertently take it out on her, and then somehow everything she says becomes something that you despise. Her mere presence irritates you. Oh, that might be by design to get you to go. But do you really need shit to get bad before you follow this? Keep a balance between all of those things. Spirit's not saying that you forgo wisdom, that you don't utilize your egoic filter, your human filter, to decipher how you to add to, not circumvent, but to add to how you maneuver something in this reality when you're being given the guidance for it. By all means do, but never allow it to supplant your divine guidance. That's the alchemy that you're doing. By that also, they're saying never throw away. Don't try to limit the information that you're getting from spirit. Don't try to over dramatize some of the message. Learn the discernment between what is just a reminder that you're connected, what is something to be banked for later. Don't get all riled up egoically because, oh, this hasn't come true yet. And it's like, because it wasn't meant to, but it was meant to be told to you. There's a reason. Sometimes a future event is told to us long before it ever happens because it's pertinent to the information we're receiving right now and the actions that we're taking. This temperance is like almost like the biggest energy in this. It is what you are finessing right now as something breaks ground, as something begins. Be grateful and happy, okay, that you finally have this, because remember what it felt like when you were veiled and you were cloaked and you were the person walking through the maze that was pitch black. You felt so disconnected from your own self. Breathe. I know it feels new again. You've been here before and you're like, why am I having to readjust? Because it's like getting on a fucking bike. Haven't been on for a while. It's a little bumpy at first, but you know what? It'll settle in real fucking quick. It's going to happen really quick. And believe you me, this process is going to be a lot more pleasant than you realize. You're going to have immense fucking joy. It's like, that's why they keep calling it like a conversation and a dialogue. It's like your best friend has fucking returned. And you don't gotta worry. They will help you to know where to focus, how to go along that path. It's so funny that this card is these elephants with their like knowing how to maneuver, how to do something. In fact, it's old hat. You know how to work with spirit. You know all the things that I'm saying right now. It's just getting back into the swing of things. That's all it is. But overall, this is going to play a major part in what's developing right now, what's coming through and breaking ground right now. Don't let ego lead you into a place of distrust anymore. For your intuitive gifts, for your connection with spirit. Don't allow ego to circumvent your soul, because the winds of change are here. And you're going to capitalize off of that and grow something immense in your life that's long lasting, that stays, that has permanency in your life, but will greatly impact others beyond yourself. Okay? There we go. That is the message. message. It's a lot. It was a good message. So. Quite possibly, but you know. Alrighty. That was really good the way that it developed. I liked it. I hope everybody enjoyed it and got what they needed to from it, and enjoy the remainder of your day. Have a fantastic day. Bye.